after.
Testing, testing. Speakers on.
You can help yourself if you want to.
Again, just surprising.
Right. Yeah, but they are. Yeah.
We're not there yet.
Hello, papers. Sean. Thanks for joining.
Technology hanging in there? We're good.
So far, so good.
Ready when you are.
Okay, we good? Yeah, can you hear us? Okay, we'll call over the city council work session. 7:26. Ready for the pledge of allegiance. Thanks. Perfect. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and roll call announcements.
Mark Bittner,
Here.
Shannon Durkee, here, Bill Leclerc,
Here.
Doug Grant, Timothy Tree, Catherine Dawkey, here, Scott Stecker, here, Adam Husky,
Here.
Gary Leclerc, here.
No, we can skip over number 4, because we're all here tonight. Microphone is, okay. So please speak up tonight, if you have questions or comments or something. Okay. To number 5, my question is public. There's a few minutes per person, so Mrs. Bittner, if you would like to talk about something that is on this agenda or future. Okay. Seeing no one else, we'll skip over to number 5 and go into number 6 discussion items. Nothing there. And then put in action. First one is a presentation from the Park Community Foundation on sustainable funding and for the purpose of reducing property tax contributions.
These 3 items fell under, really, they should no action we're taking tonight. So that's the video. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Marks and then Director Mathis for this evening. We've been trying to carve out the time for council office and really get our heads around which was the foundation and how this might help us with our financial predicament with the general fund. So a few things I'll cover. Core government functions. Core government functions is important things that are almost sacred and should be fully funded. No doubt. Maybe those are 2 different things. One should be funded with property taxes, no doubt. The other, maybe not. Lakeshore Community Foundation is here tonight long term and show us what that long term plan is. What are we trying to accomplish here? We're trying to accomplish financial sustainability and the city general fund that is not operating well. There's a bunch of decisions we're going to take, all of them we're trying to fix that, and this is a partnership with the Lakeshore, the foundation here. This is a piece of that large picture. This is about long-term planning and reducing the dependence on property taxes. We want a permanent, self-sustaining industry. We think this might be a way to get there. Outside of the hands of future elected officials, we tempted to redirect that funding to other projects that need funding. Last thing I'll say is in 10 to 15 years, hopefully, we're not looking back. We'll have the same discussion about how to fund very important community programs. And this is something that should have been fixed a long time ago. This was I hope in 10 or 15 years we'll look back. So with that, Director Mathis.
Quick, so we're joined by great speaker, Executive Director for the Lakeshore Community and John Swanson, Director. I had the pleasure of sitting down with them on the foundation and how we're going to possibly set up some long-term investment funds for the perpetual care flowers and potentially the community as well. Lots to think about with those things. We would need to use it on fundraising to get money to start those investment accounts. But it's a way to think a little bit differently about really things that we hope to keep going for doing. So I'll leave it to them. I'll ask any questions you have. Specifically, I'm right.
Okay, thank you for inviting us. Happy to be here. I'd like to introduce us to the group. How many of you have heard of the donation? Besides Betty and Mark. Great. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's the charity that provides donations to people and nonprofit organizations, defined geographically, their philanthropic wishes. So in other words, we manage dollars for permanent funds to provide and manage water counties. Community foundations have 100 years across the nation and around the world. We happen to be surrounded by there's Storm County, Green Bay, Oshkosh, Frontenac, and Greater Milwaukee Foundation. In 2009, the White House decided to get a community foundation for the Sheboygan and Water counties. And here we are. So how does it work? Well, in the handout, page 2. And this is just a highlight and present in the answer related to how our foundation. So it starts with clients in their communities. Our clients include individuals and families that want to support the community and purpose. Our clients include nonprofit organizations, in addition to providing grant support to the nonprofit sector to individual client funds. We can also manage and focus on their mission and fundraising, and that's where the city potentially. We also consider our clients are a valuable tool when they're working with their clients on financial planning. So again, it starts with passion for their communities, their gifts, funds will be committed. Each fund is governed by agreement between the client and the community foundation. And those funds are invested because we're all about permanent funds, and distributions are made to qualified charities according to each client's wishes, preserving legacies, strengthening communities forever. What does the foundation look like? As of December 31st, 2025. So the first fund was established in 2011, 50 years ago, with $37,500. And in 2025, we exceeded $150 million. Our 10-year average net rate of return is 3%. And cumulative grants exceeded $29 million. So we gathered resources, establishing client funds, we grow those resources to investments, and then clients give back to communities that they love by making distributions to qualified. We turn to the next page. We have a graph showing our growth in assets under management. First contribution issued to the Community Foundation in 2010 was $500. From there, client relationships formed, fueling the growth of the foundation's assets under management. Our assets under management increased over $37 million, reaching that $150 million. On the next slide, I should say next page, that $150 million is held in one. On the right-hand side of this slide, you see the account categories. In each category. And on the left-hand side of the slide, you see the account categories as a percentage of the assets under management. Let's take a look at an example of each account category. First one, the agency funds is a type of account we use to manage organizations. So they can focus on their mission and fundraising. And I have to mention that we manage the Educational Endowment Fund, Lesser Public Library Foundation, Woodland Dunes. I think that might be the extent of our Two Rivers funds that we're managing. The Donor Advised Fund, which represents 15% of really nice alternative to a private foundation. The donor remains actively engaged in recommending grants managing a private foundation. The city of Two Rivers has received distributions from one of our donor advised funds for the bands on the beach and fireworks. So you're already benefiting from the community foundation. Yes, that's yes, in the designated fund category. That's where applying for the specific beneficiaries. Have a client who has named the City of Two Rivers PD Fire Department as beneficiaries of that fund to support the K9 units and the equipment. So each year, City of Two Rivers receives a distribution from that fund to support the and the fire department. The interest fund is the type of account that a client would establish. We have the Lake Shore Paw Fund as an example. Individuals that started that fund wanted to support animal welfare. Distributions from the individuals funds are made through a discretionary grant application process. Only those organizations that support the main area of those distributions. So someday, well, actually, we would have interest funds that the city would actually apply for discretionary grants. We would need the open hand fund, the Love Your Neighbor fund, and the Holiday Maker Storage. And then there's the unrestricted fund. That's the type of account that ever-changing opportunities in the community. Again, distributions are made through a competitive grant application process, and they qualify to apply for those distributions within our defined geographic region. Any questions about the types of accounts that we offer? Also want to mention that, as examples, the city of Manitowoc has established the City of Canine Preservation Fund with Lake Shore Community Foundation, so they can ensure that community for generations. They've also partnered with us, that's the agency fund. They've also partnered with us. Look, years ago, Fannie Hugh gifted money to the city for the Eternal Flame Baptist Memorial. And the city just put it in an account and they were supporting the Eternal Flame Memorial with it. And Steve Corbell said, like, wow, we need to do something about this. We want to make sure that we honor Fannie's wishes to support that forever. So they transferred that fund over to us into a designated fund. The city is the beneficiary to it, and we actually own it. Okay? We own it forever, but distributions from it will go to the city to support the investment. Those are two ideas to think about as a partnership.
I know in this kind of ballpark, how long have those distributions been around?
I really can't answer that.
More than 10 years?
Maybe the K9 is probably coming up. And then the Eternal Flame Fund, about 2 years later. And actually then a group of veterans, Eternal Flame, they want to get that. I'm not speaking of school, they want to get that fund that was over $2,000 so that they ensure that the distributions from it support the use of Eternal Flame.
I do have a question. You mentioned that so bands on the beach. Is that because they applied for a specific grant?
No, they didn't apply. It's the donors wish that support for the PD and fire department. That donor wants us to support those your city organizations forever. So there was no application process. And then the bands on the beach and the fireworks because Dennis here as well. They just decided that they wanted to give the city some money for the fireworks.
And unrestricted, that's an application.
Yes, yes. Any other questions?
But there is a normal time prior to November, each year people can apply for grants or funds if they're available.
Say that again, Mark.
There's a normal time prior to fiscal year. You accept applications for grants.
Our application cycle opens February first here. And it closes on March 15th. And then distributions are actually awarded by June. If you go into our website under the Scatter Rural Gift tab, click on the gift tab. Yes, sir.
These smaller funds, do you usually advise that the distributions are such that they don't erode the capital, that they can continue? Or do some funds deplete at some point?
Actually, for those clients that follow the foundation spending policy, every calendar year, we test those funds to make sure that that fund meets all contributions to that fund. And if we say that we're distributing 4.5% this year, and we run the test to see what each fund can distribute, and it is, and a 4.5% calculation comes with the dividend of the fund, and we would not make a distribution for that year. The whole intent is to grow those funds at a minimum, preserve the principal, and grow those funds at a minimum rate of inflation over the long term.
And have there been years that the market performed well, make distributions?
Yes. Because when the market, we're subject to volatility. We'll see that in the slides.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Depends too on the life cycle of the. Work those years. It could still be distribution that wouldn't dip into the principal. Early years, the market is more volatile. It's in that position. You're just not able to.
Yeah, it's a time factor. Really, look at that if you want.
Okay, my question is, the city is part of the Main Street program. And that is a nonprofit. We're part of the city, but we do a lot of work together. And, for them, so the process is, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Not mistaken, there are 501c, correct?
They would. Okay, I need your card.
Any other questions about fund types? This information will generate a lot of ideas and a lot of questions. So what about that? And we're here for you, anytime you want. Okay, on the next slide, you see our investment goals. And in 2025, our return was 17.4%. And the average annual net rate of return exceeded 9%. And you see that there are a couple of losses in the long-term period since we've been in existence.
So those down years, you advise your client, not to do all that year, or they can't.
If they follow our spending policy, then they don't. If they determine their own spending policy, which we do allow, we don't then want each year. Especially for the agency, the nonprofit sets up a follow us. And 50% of them follow our spending policy and 50%. But at any time, know that if you were to set up an agency, those dollars that you house with Lakeshore Community Foundation are your dollars as well, so you can take those out there. And if you decide you don't like the Community Foundation, you can get them to just different.
Is this, tax deferred monies or if they tax them, is there distribution?
You know, for an individual, anyone that puts money into a donation, not a voluntary, so as an individual, you get such. It's a standalone level. And for nonprofits, that's what we do. We don't do that.
No.
Okay.
Okay, let's turn to the next page. I want to mention that all the funds that we manage are invested. You can see that our target asset allocation is 7% equities, 30% fixed income, and then we have domestic and international mix within each asset.
Given the market volatility, have you ever changed that?
No, we have not changed it for years. It remains, and your investment advisor will stay the course. Okay, we use Mercer as our investment advisor. They're a global firm, outsourced chief investment officer services. Our portfolio is comprised of 11 different Vanguard funds. Of those 11 funds, 6 are equity funds, 5 are fixed income. And of those 11 funds, 7 are actively managed funds, which means that there's a manager that's actively buying and selling in that fund. In each fund, I should say, and the other 4 are passive funds, which means and the 70-30, as Laura said earlier when we were writing, it's a pretty standard asset allocation for institutions. They range from 50, 60, 40, 70, 30, 20. A good spot. As an organization that has a long-term horizon.
The annual audit, who's your audit company?
Yes, we do. It is our auditor. John was our former auditor. He was with.
Looks. Did I mention before? No, you've been with them for 8 years.
Yeah.
You look like that work.
Any questions about the investment management side? Your indications, go ahead,
I
Mike.
did a little research. Costs are relatively low and I expect. So it looks like your cost of invest is very reasonable compared to other firms like that.
Yes, for an agency, the all-in would be 67. Here would be 4 basis points administrative fee and 7 basis points for
Another question, you might cover it on camera, to test or set up fund.
Yes.
2,500.
Yes, we do. For agency fund is 100,000. That's what that. The traditional client fund is 25. But you can start a fund with $5,000 to grow that fund to maturity balance within 5 years. So let's say you want to start a fund for Main Street and you have $5,000 raised, so we can start with $5,000. And then you commit to growing it to $100,000 in 5 years. If you do get there, we would give you a pass.
Or special care fund for flowers.
Less than the 25 minimum, which you talked about, say it's $5,000, every dollar since we're in, that fund would be still taxed. Right?
Once we hold the funds, did you get that, Jim?
So if you set up a designated fund and then directed citizens, they give the contribution to us, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Do they get the next one?
So yes,
Any contribution they would then give would be,
I would even reset that.
yeah. Because when you're at 25,000, let's say you still get that, and say you grow up to 500,000, people still get that. Any cash coming in, they would get that. That would be speaking as far as the designated fund. The fund, we would direct those contributions.
So if we ever got this up and running, and it was going, and 20 years passed, and it's a good company, and it's working. Would the city council in 20 years say, we want to tap? Could they do that?
With an agency fund, they could.
Would the agency need a majority of the council to decide to roll it out?
So the designated fund, once that money is placed in the information, will control the fund entirely.
And we would have the option to pick which of those happens to go out.
That's designated or the.
So I'd say that another way to look at this, who holds the title to those funds? So when you set up an agency fund, it still has that, so it still is in the city's funds, so it'll still be on your financial. That you can take that out at any time, redirect it. You have an investment pool, and it's doing the same thing either way, it's just using. Under the designated, you relinquish those. The community foundation holds the title, but the fund is set up where it is every year, this is how these funds will be used. Go to the city for purposes.
And that's actually what the city of Manitowoc did with this level here, so that the city can't spend it going forward, and put it with the community foundation so we can never touch it.
Can a designated fund become an agency fund? Switch it once you've established it?
We've never had that question before. I don't think we could, because you have given up control of that fund. Right, and if you ask her to an agency fund, you're not going to.
The IRS. And I would think that might be misleading to, to if we shifted it from designated to agency.
Right, so that's why I was thinking of it as a control of whether or not money can be used for something else. So there, once it's a designated fund, it's a designated fund.
But we're just talking about this, that would require us to establish one for flower and one for paying careers, so to speak, so the funds could be yeah.
And those would both be designated funds, like.
That's what you chose to do.
With, at that money threshold, we're talking about initial investment. They're like. Because you have to have $100,000 for each. So we have to get a lot of fundraising.
Mike, so we're on the same page, can you remind us how much is in this year's budget for the programs? Community band.
6,000 for the flowers. And 700 in the community band, some fundraising on the side, but the city budget is 87. And actually, I'm citing what it was 5, not 6, so we lowered it to the community band a little bit.
It's like $3,000, I think.
Yes,
Yeah, 6 for flowers and 3 for.
yes.
And I said that my numbers straight again, this is which is the specific beneficiary.
Yes.
It's 5,000 enter with 100,000 within 5 years, or is that? That's for the agency fund. And then what is the entrance for that?
It could be $5,000.
5,000.
The value that you would want to grow your fund. In contributions.
I think there's in my opinion, I think there's a real chance. 5 years, we can get to 20,000 in that 5 years. If not, we won't do it. Once you get to 25,000, you can start taking withdrawals. After withdrawals, correct? And you continue to build.
And if enough, few different sources or organizations of that profit, and everybody gets a little bit of seed money, problem.
Consulting is good too, which is.
Right. Any other questions? Yes.
We're looking at it from the, it sounds kind of like how trusts run, is revocable, where you still have your finances, then irrevocable, once you're in it. So it will say that you want to have your house under the irrevocable, then protect. And revocable, you can still use it for, yeah, nursing homes, you know, there's something like that, and so some of it's, the other one's fixed, or,
That's a good analogy. Well, I think the nature of two different funds. Each fund you essentially own and control under taking a cash position, whereas a designated fund, you relinquish control. And we own and control the irrevocable.
So you're wondering if you could set it up in a single fund, but you're marking different.
right? But the money is,
Yeah.
once it's in there, that would be,
I see, the designated would really be that irrevocable. Yeah, you really wouldn't be able to put that any further, so. Yeah, to have any amount of revocable. Agency you'd be looking at.
okay.
Or have that flexibility that.
Trying to preserve something that people love.
Any other questions?
Has there been any numbers or calculations made? With the cemetery flowers? Would we need to get that up to draw down $6,000 or $7,000 a year?
We know that calculation for you.
But I think
So figuring that we have, what that means is there's your fund. Actually look at the previous 12 quarters, knowing that the market is volatile. 12 quarters will help smooth that out. And you'll minimize those peaks and valleys. What we'll look at is, what's your average fund for all those quarters? And that average amount will take our distribution. Rachel mentioned that we'll use our distribution rate factor, which we anticipate returns to be looking ahead of where some of the market working with our investment advisor. What are we seeing for inflation? Because that is a diminished value in the long run. So that's where we really get to that 4.5%. 90% returns we showed for the last 10 years. But 4.5% will make this more sustainable. So to have a $6,000 distribution, we have to have a total balance of $133,000. That'd be what you're looking at for, that's your average fund balance over 12 quarters. 4.5% of that, you'd be distributing.
that strikes me as a challenging big number. But if you're thinking long term, like we should be. It's cheap.
Yeah.
That was for both. So that was easy.
That would just be for a $6,000 distribution, so then, yeah, you would look at doing that. And when you look at your fund, if you allow that to grow, you're also gonna have the market helping you too. So it's not just people contributing 133,000, but your total market contributed, and what is actually good. That's, time is in your favor.
Market billing, great percent of your average.
Yeah.
Which means that your distributions will increase as well.
Yeah, so I think that financial advisor can look at like your different kinds of investments and use money around. So whoever's dealing with the money itself to give us the best rate of return. They're watching the market, they're doing all of that too, and they're able to say, you want to take money from a performing one and put it over, whatever. That have somebody who needs to sit
decisions?
Yes, we work with an investment advisor, and they are constantly looking at, you know, and readjust. There is a constant adjustment. Here's the benchmarks that we set, established, and really came up with them, what do they advise into that for? We don't do that.
What's your 70%, 30% formula, that stays.
That's
That's-
Yeah, bring it back to it.
And if you take a look at domestic emissions, those are target mixes as well. So whenever we take distributions from the fund, or grow substantially, we're putting to the fund, then the money's in balance, which is quite frequent.
I was just gonna reiterate, when the designated fund is established, council have all the control and designating basically how that agreement is structured to say what the distribution is. So it might be more perpetual care flowers, but maybe it's a perfect world and once it generates a lot of money, and then we say, okay, the cost of flowers, and then there's distribution that could support the sanitary, other perpetual operating, maybe that has additional use. Also, we want to designate those things, right? So if there's amazing $10,000 a year available for these flowers, and we don't need $10,000 a year, we're still looking for maintaining that sanitary forever. So how do you continue to benefit? Maybe your first priority is the flowers, or your second priority could go down generally.
But doesn't that need to be stipulated when you set up the fund?
Correct.
Yes.
And not impact the risk of retention. But like flowers,
That's correct.
that's a trade-off with financial management. So
And I would imagine the people doing the fundraising would want to have a voice in the set up. If we're.
Right, you're gonna want
Back to
that.
the original conversation,
Yeah.
who's fund that, but is the council doing that, is the city doing that, or the folks who are just about actual?
It could be multiple fundraising groups.
And if we're gonna dictate where it's spent, then I would imagine the city's gonna be right. The conversation in chambers before, that it would be up to the folks who raise the question about perpetual powers that they. You know, imagine we wanna have a city with an extra dollar.
So all 9 of you are here tonight. Your direction on voting or taking action, but is this something we should continue to investigate? Come back to the budget, or can start funding it? Or something we would think. That's the
So that annual advisory fee, that's,
That's 7 basis points. The investment that we, then we have that we assess.
also that's.
That's not in here.
Okay.
We didn't break out the fee structure because we didn't want to. We can send that to Mike. For an agency fund, it's 40 basis points, for the first note, and then 20 on that.
What's the big?
0.4%. So this, that 27 basis.
Because we're deciding, we have to understand that we might start like this, but it's not going to actually fund for another 5 to 10 to 6 years. So where is the funding going to be until then? It still sits somewhere in the budget, so there's a parallel path on that. More food for thought. And Kyle, I didn't know if part of this conversation, there are other ways to the city, agent setting up an agency, separate from this, that we do whatever we wanted with, but then still be looking at raising 100,000. I didn't know if that was a process.
That's an idea.
I think right now it's.
Yeah.
So,
Director Mathis, can you give a quick update on the pilot planting program from the $100 worth of units?
Yeah, we are laying out a grade at an open area where and look and see how they grow, but yeah, kind of assess how we can swap out the geraniums. Well, that's
Really good idea to try that in a small spot before going much farther.
so I have volunteer lined up to help me purchase plants and move the ground and park maintenance group as a, you know, they need to go out, use a stone cutter and cut some spots.
Hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate. A little sun.
Hope so too.
Do we need for water out in the cemetery?
No.
We don't.
That's why a lot of these perennials will be probably much better. Shape, they don't.
It's my opinion that we should go ahead and get started with the immediate solution to cemetery block resort. Get it, it's never gonna evolve to a conventional solution. We know that we should, happen about now in several years, but if we started, we're not gonna grow the fund. We people have to submit money to the fund. Quickly identify like 4 flowers only, and to provide others. Initially, people go out and invest it, but identify the flowers, identify the band, and get started, and work to achieve a return as fund to cover the cost of the two realities, the flowers and the band.
I think it's 20 years that we look back and say, thanks. Glad we
Yeah.
did that."
Right, and we're not get some is, yeah, but until we do it, we mental, and all the struggles through, to get it out. You know, this organization, I'm personally, you're solid, safe, you're in a community, and you're really,
I agree, Mark, we should be part of the fundraising, we put a compelling reason on. Yesterday, and with a 5-minute pass, within 5 minutes, we raised $9,000.
clearly the plan specifically for this.
I would add why Parks and Rec or other city staff have fundraising hours at this point. Because if I would be taking that money in, I would be one of our internal donations, which is protected, right? It's for donations, a designated account, but there's just trust. On the perpetual care flowers, right? Because that's the point it got to, and reason to use the money available to us. So it would be a little disingenuous for me to go out and say, all right, let's donate, we're going to invest it. House and not having an official, you know, account set up with the investment. There'd be a lot of details, I think, of how you stimulate. If you throw that money in, we do all the flowers and the grades that we currently have, and want to have more money, and we need to play more. We have to very much think about how we outline that doesn't need term.
It really is not as practical as a professional organization. So that's money used to resource information to maximize investment. We don't have the time, we don't have the facility to allocate to activities and fixed investment costs to you near the action. So you'll maximize return a lot more effectively in the city.
Well, I wouldn't be maximizing any return, so it would just. So,
I think it would be important to, as part of your fundraising projects, to emphasize to the community that they may not be able to make a substantial difference in their economic asset. life insurance policy or retirement account. There are a lot of people that have no place to go with those assets. You could be a receptacle for it.
It's me a little bit, built to what we need.
Rachel, clarification question, even with the designated fund, city was receive the donation, receive the money, and then give it to you.
Yes.
So at some point, it's good, there's gonna be a series of transactions of it. Over, isn't the Parks and Rec, I donated, I deposited it in our account, check. over to the- Because they don't actually do any of the collection of the donations.
Could, does that still allow a citizen to go through the city, and take a tax deduction, or would not the citizen have to directly, you're able to take donation?
Any contribution to a municipality is a tax.
Yeah, I would give it back. They asked for it.
Once the fund is set up, it can go directly to the fund, correct?
So
Once the fund is set up, can it go directly to the fund, or does it have to go to
it would go to the city first, and then the city would deposit. And we want to acknowledge and nurture those relationships.
But we have to clearly establish to the community funding and making contribution will go specifically to the father or the man, and not somewhere else.
Right. We help start the community foundation.
We say we're definitely, it's always gonna be $6,000 for the flower. And if we have more money than that, then we could designate something else, right?
Sure, and that's what you were talking about, so you have to clearly define. This grows exponentially, and it can spin off a lot of earnings. You have your perpetual cemetery care taken care of, your man taken care of, what about the excess costs? You want to be used.
At any time.
You would have to decide that on the designated fund. And I would suggest, go ahead.
Yeah, you can't change the rules of that little way.
That's right.
Because
And to clarify, though, we would not be using money for perpetual care flowers and the band, right? And our purpose is that money was separate, they get the money. Investment, right? But we would not be pooling that together, because if I give money for the band, I only want that to support it, not the flower. So in our minds, we would separate that.
Right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your time and attention to this matter. It's small, dollar amounts, a lot of big emotions, big legacy. We do business now again with it.
Let's go ahead and get questions.
We have to work on internally. We as sponsors, but I suggest move forward with our own.
Talk about more budget, yeah, try to work within the budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have one more question. For the flame, for the forever flame in Manitowoc.
Roughly $8,000.
Oh, okay.
So, and what they have gone to, I'm not speaking of the school, so they recognize that they're making, people want to make a money fund in their state, right? So that thing could grow exponentially at some point in time, so they said, primary role is to support the Trail Plan Veterans Memorial. Should there be some, excess earnings, project can support other veterans memorials in Manitowoc. So you can be creative. But just make sure your donors know the purpose of the fund.
And Kyle, I think this is an internal foundation. We don't necessarily have to wait for the budget season to start with the fall. Because if we wanted donations to support private donation, we just said, you will not. Yeah, and you people who, whatever y'all want to do that, but if we want a legitimate place for donation, then we would.
Fun sponsorships too.
Summertime is a good time to gather, it's a good time to talk about it. But I do think we should bring some of these things back into the conversation to make sure we rely on it. The last thing we want to do is move forward and then get any back on our kids.
Just so everybody knows as well, our K-9 program has been trying to be, and that's where, if you recall back a little ways, when we got that K-9 squad, that was talk at that time was not expending a bunch of that donated money yet because we were trying to get that 100,000. So just a little history lesson, just so you guys are all aware that that's how we're, roughly 4 or 5 years.
Excellent. So you know too, that when you are in need of a K-9 and the training, just let us know, because we might have someone that will pay for it for you. All right, well, thanks a lot.
Thanks. You guys don't need to donate some money tomorrow.
I would also, just another thought from Kathy's point, is that the city donating to businesses. The city contributes something out of our budget or something. Put money in one ratio of faith, also matching gift, matching contribution. Obviously, and give donations. So maybe that would, like, the budget season, did it get approved?
Next up, Public Works, leaf collection and review of works.
For the engineer gets the details. Now I'll try to start with a bigger idea here. So general fund, costs are going up for a bunch of things. High inflation environment, property values are skyrocketing. Cost of labor and materials are going up 3 to 6% every year, and MFT costs are 8% per year. You have property taxes going towards charitable programs like flowers, and health insurance costs are spiking our employee base. The federal government are passing down new unfunded mandates that we have to figure out how we pay for it. Technology that needs upgraded. Utility rates are going to keep flying with rate adjustments every few years. Landfill, harbor, and seawalls that are in dire need of investment. Trying to get a handle on all these costs that are escalating, and really hard decisions and hard questions to the table for your feedback on creating get that clear direction. That's what we need your direction, so thank you for that. And find ways to save money and cut back. Everyone will talk about. But maybe if everything's a sacred cow and nothing should be reduced, then the only other option is rates in order to pay for the type of government that the people want.
Or build more houses.
Yes, well, that's the ultimate, is we gotta grow our way out of this. So with that kind of bigger idea and bigger picture, flowers, and now we're gonna talk about leaf vacuuming, director vacuuming.
Again, no preconceived really notion, something Kyle and I have been talking about for about a week to two. And basically, we want to discuss our leaf collection process, and is there other means or methods we should be exploring? Why are we discussing this? As Kyle mentioned, DPW has more work than available man hours to complete. So besides leaf collection, sanitary sewer cleaning, storm sewer cleaning, inlet and catch basin cleaning, concrete pavement, streets, sidewalks, trails, tarring of concrete, pavement joints, asphalt pavement patching, just to name a few things that we have going on. And in a lot of years, we're not doing some of those things in the past, i.e. Sidewalks, we're not doing a lot of storm sewer or cleaning on a per year basis. and we maybe touch 10% of the covering of concrete joints that we should be doing per year. Why is that? We just don't have the manpower to do it, coupled with the financial costs associated with it. We're just constrained. So we're, the old adage used to be doing more with less. Right now we're doing less with less. So that brings up this whole topic of leaf collection. Right now we are running 8 weeks of plant collection time per fall of the year. Usually mid-October to the first, the second week of December, weather pending. As weather pending, we did cut it short this past 2025 fall season due to some white stuff. But then we went around this spring and unbeknownst, we didn't want to fully advertise it, but we went and collected leaves that were out in the street or on the terrace in large piles. So we did come through and do those. No, I do not want to get into the spring cleanup process, and we'll get into that in a little bit as to why.
Those bullet points at the top. Core government functions.
Yes. The big takeaway here is leaf collection per year runs about $130,000 on average from 2018 to 2025. If we did a spring leaf or yard waste collection, double that number. Right now, that $130,000 comes out of our solid waste program. The environmental charge, primarily through the environmental. And we do get credit for leaf collection in our solid waste annual report, but it doesn't provide any real cost savings. The annual report that we sent to the DNR is strictly on our recycling program, and they do ask about leaf collection as well.
We get credit for it. We would still get the same credit if we did leaf collection any different.
Yes.
Mayor, can I ask a question? If you flip this previous slide, at 103,000 average, that ultimately doesn't that impact some of the, if we didn't do it, wouldn't be some of those cleaning and storm sewer, wouldn't that drive to be higher? Keep, don't we have to contribute to some of our water charge, fertilizer?
Right now, sanitary sewer cleaning, those are all out of various utility funds. So it's all all, that's what we're doing. So of the 38,000, almost 1,000 man hours are being attributed to leaf collection per year on average. On average. So if we don't need to do 1,000 man hours work, that means we can shift that man hour workload to something else. So again, we could do more storm sewer inlet cleaning, more concrete pavement restoration. So part of the reason why we have some open pavement that are poke from the east side lateral is because we ran out of manpower for a good time to do those repairs. Could we have gotten them all because of the early snow? No. Been fixed. So again, not saying right now we're coming up saying we should totally eliminate leaf collection. But is there something else? So Kyle asked me this morning, cost is there to our literally leaf extraction equipment?
I was hoping for that number for tonight's discussion.
That's back to
We did this.
that is back to the napkin. So on average, to set up, any type of material costs, to do some repairs, and maintain these pieces of equipment, overall average over the last 6 years, 7 years. I did include in the average 2026, which was basically the dismantling and reinspection of all the equipment, this past winter, January, February. So those are just few of the averages. The average labor to do work about $300. Total for the 3 units, roughly $4,200. Materials, well, $7,500 per year to get these pieces of equipment up, running, and maintained through the leaf collection season. That is charged to the general fund. Public Works does own that equipment. The general fund does get subsidized back in rental of dump trucks, the collection, if we use front end loaders, Jeeps, whatever, that is $65,000 average per year. So it's not a total expenditure to the general fund. So for the most part, general fund is still remaining solid. But how do we do it right now? Overall, if we have very light within the group, we'll go through with one of our 2 sleepers. It'll clean the pavement in that first 6 feet. It's a very clean final product, but it doesn't work on gravel street. How do we do it presently? We use those leaf vacs. One guy is out on the back of the tube, manipulating the tube, leaves on the terrace in the gutter pavement, and trying to deal with larger medium-sized piles. So this is good for the medium accumulations. Generally, it's going to be a 2-person crew. We have 3 back, so I can have 3 crews out there. If we get real desperate, we'll reach out to Mike and we will borrow their leaf vacuum, our truck, potentially some of their personnel, and we'll do 4 crews throughout the city. But when it actually gets into that, we'll start diving into large equipment, front end loaders, dump trucks, just bulk leaf collection within dump trucks. You actually get less leaves in the truck because they're not compacted with going through the leaf blower or any type of composting machine or mulcher. And you still get residue on the street behind it. Now you're still adding an additional sweeper behind it. Generally, there's going to be 2 groups, 2 front end loaders, 2 dump trucks per front end loader. Potentially use one of our Jeeps to push the leaves off the terrace or into the middle of the street. Again, this is going to be more labor intensive, equipment intensive. So again, this is heavy to extra heavy leaf manipulation. You're leaving a lot of debris left on the pavement. Again, it doesn't work well on gravel roads. More or less nothing works well on gravel roads. It's something. This is what the neighbors to the south of us is, city of Milwaukee. A small tool cat or small front end loaders the leaves into the back of the pan, and the pan up into a rear compacting garbage truck. Over to the north, called Green Bay, they also do this. But they also had a bunch of rear loading garbage trucks that they just converted and on hand for leaf collection. And they also mount plows to them in winter months as well. So they get a dual purpose use out of them. So just, I mean, if we got a rear mounted garbage truck or a real garbage truck, it potentially would help park and rent during the summer months as they right now run through the downtown area park, and they take a lot of their trash into a dump or into a pickup truck, and then run it out to DPW and then hand load it to a dump roll-off dumpster that then ultimately gets taken to the landfill. This could be taken directly to a landfill when it's filled up. Again, I'm not saying it's the best option, but it's an option. Another option is having everybody leave in the compostable recycling bag. Mike had a comment earlier that where he used to live, we're required to do this, very labor intensive on the property owner. We're required, but that's how we did it. With the-
Some
So,
communities require it.
correct. And I know there are some communities on the north shore of Milwaukee that require bag collection.
City of Atlanta requires it.
So it's a very common practice. So using our average yards of materials collected, we would need somewhere between 19,000 and 26,000 bags, ranging in cost from roughly 50 cents to $1.50 a bag. So 9,500 to somewhere around $40,000 in just bags.
And those are sold in Waukee.
That is the question. Is it a property owner? Expense. So I'm not saying one way or the other as an option. This could be potentially a cleaner option as a bag. It just comes along with a front end loader. You dump it into the front end loader, dump it directly into a dump truck. Because most people want to pack as much in that bag as possible, you're going to get a more densely packed dump truck. So you're going to get more volume per dump truck load than a loose filled dump truck. So basically, the number of bags times 50 cents is 500. Your 26,000 times $1.50 is your $40,000. So simple-ish math, but that's how it kind of works out. We will need to do some modification to our collection process as to where the leaves are being placed. For stormwater management purposes, they need to be placed on the terrace, not in the street as we currently do. So that is something that will need to come into fruition so that we can take credit for stormwater management production purposes. If we don't do it, we don't get the credit. It means we'll potentially have to do more stormwater ponds or some other practice. So again, not 100% that we have to do that, but a strong suggestion that we should. Another available option is instead of doing 10 weeks of collection, collection, we do something similar to our vendors over in Rochester, Minnesota. First 3 weeks or the last 3 weeks of November,
maybe it's only a 4-week time period. So cut that process in half. Again, Rochester, yes, you get one crack at the kick of the dog, so to speak, to get your leaves out. If you don't get them out, you're responsible to manage those leaves yourself. Strongly encouraging property owners to mulch or compost the leaves on site. So as they fall, cut them. That actually makes the fertilizer come spring. Or we do nothing, we don't collect. Kyle also already said that's not the plan of action, but right now, residents are doing something with their spring yard. Can they do that for fall? And assuming we went 100% in that direction, that would be a reduction or shifting of solid waste fees, more or less potentially towards the old landfills. We do have some concerns coming up with the landfills dealing with PFAS, which are impacting the wastewater treatment plant and the disposal of sludge on farm fields. So that discussion will be coming back around when we have more information on that. It's relatively new in the making. Just reached out to a consultant and they said this is a cheap fix for the landfill leachate. So just giving you that tease, I don't have any additional information on that. So that is ultimately, we have some big dollars to spend in the future. So we can continue doing the process that we're doing, $103,000 on average per year. Do we look at reducing that service slightly, all the way? Again, I have no final answer, but just tossing it out there for discussion.
Money and $100,000, core government functions that we're not getting to, and that we're having trouble for down the line with landfill and other things. For functions we're going to be tools for. So we're looking at everything we do is trying to prioritize what's important. As a new guy here, when I got up here, I couldn't believe it. Like 200 suburbs in Chicago, and I'm for like 13 years, and over the time, I've seen one by one by one, almost all the Chicago suburbs that we're not doing this anymore. The only ones that remain are very affluent North Shore, couple rare examples, but it's only the affluent communities. And here, this is just fun. I looked this up earlier. $137 million. Ours is about 13 million. Like their average household income is like 113K. Like that, years ago, Lake Zurich made the decision to get out of we It's different. I know it's different. It's not Wisconsin. That you absolutely it's kind of shocking.
They should have asked Carl. Lake Zurich.
Okay. They were easy to get in there because they had more garbage companies and had better, more expensive trucks. Private sector was able to come in and provide food. So the government was able to get out of the private sector.
They chose.
One way or another, you pay for it, right? Is the government will be doing it, or is this something that residents can handle? Okay. I think you're saying
right now, we have issues with people cutting their grass. So when they go pick up real leaves because they're not gonna haul them up, how are we gonna we don't have enough CSO time or DPW time to even meet people. And that problem, of course, people are not gonna do that stuff themselves. Second, we have terrace trees that we do. They don't even want, so you're forcing them to have more leaves, you're forcing them to have eggs, and all that stuff to compost. They don't even. What are you gonna do with those leaves that fall into the street? The terrace, there's some pretty huge trees that are on the terrace. They're all gonna end up in the street anyway. So either which way, you're gonna come around and vacuum. And then what do you do about people that have, I have 2 trees. No. Why should I clean up my neighbor's shit that blows in my yard? And then have to pay for pay and you go all this. That's crazy. The neighbor that doesn't want to clean up their leaves, that all blows in my yard, and then I'm stuck with it. I mean,
Yeah, just blow it back.
what's that?
As Phil said, just pull back over.
I can do that. Yeah. Regular rain, so they stay.
It's a service that everybody.
It is.
You take away from them, boy, there's be some spring.
Yeah,
Price might be.
and we're an older community, we're not a young community.
Yeah.
I mean, so some people get in the neighborhood that you know, everyone on the back, find someone to take them to a compost, I think that's the more.
Gotta be a better piece of equipment.
I think you can provide.
Make one over
I'm gonna touch on Bill's real quick. While I was looking at other practices, I saw 2 very interesting pieces of equipment. One actually looked like a snow blower. The front propel and it literally blew right into a dump truck. So now you're mulching and blowing that, so similar to a leaf blower, but it was attached to a small front end loader or something of that nature. Second piece of equipment was similar, but it was mounted on front end of a brush chip. So instead of feeding the brush or twigs or whatever in the rear, it actually had a chute that would more burn off the leaves from the middle of the street that wouldn't go in, and they basically drove over top of the truck, and that would cut it to the mulcher and go to the back of it. More efficient, less efficient? I don't know. That's the first time I've seen either one of those 2 pieces. Is there pieces of equipment out there that potentially can do it more efficiently? Well, ultimately, going to this slide, 2025, we spent almost $18,000 in repair costs. Almost $12,000 in repair costs. I had 2 pieces in the capital improvement program to replace 2 of those defects. And I just request 1. I put 2 in case one got cut, I had funds for the other. Acknowledge we're in dire straits of budget. So, we budgeted 85 each. So it's a large capital cost. How much did those other pieces of equipment cost? No, not that far. If I get new ones, does that cost go down? Yes. Somewhere probably in that $4,000 range on average, but again, replace chutes, hoses, things of that nature. Those are all costs.
We're gonna have to pay some, right, at some point, right?
Yep.
At some point, you can only keep repairs. OG up to. So I don't want to be in that position here, so I appreciate that you're trying to extend life. We have a lot of there, of need for reducing the time, shrink the window. Very upfront, okay, looking at other expenses that are coming up. We're trying to shrink the window. Here are some things that you can do to help us out. For those of you who would like to compost, what a great opportunity. What a great opportunity to get whatever you can go to that program. That would be great. Maybe we can get a kids board out there, we want to help their neighbors out, neighbors helping neighbors. That community program we're talking about, from emerging groups. Things we can think about doing here, is say, hey, it's true, or do that way. Getting that mentality, but we do the same thing over and over and expecting the same results.
This slide, kind of, I mean, yeah, in the background, leaves, but not a lot in the street. Wasn't a lot of leaves in the street. Typically, when we go up with the sweeper, is that mid-October range, the first. Generally, back and the sweeper, trying to get as many leaves as possible, trying to keep that resource in check so we can accommodate for other core services. Do we say leaf collection, from what I'm seeing in a lot of municipalities, starts at 1 instead of October? So that goes to your point, we reduce that window. Further reducing it, we stop at the 30th. The month of November. Typically, we say it is the week after Thanksgiving. Is your time to get the leaves out for the last time. Great, wonderful. We always make more on the rotation because people didn't get them out before we came through, so there's still piles out there. So we're still going. That's why it's typically now it's 8 weeks, but it's usually closer to weeks. So if we stay hard and fast, boom, we're only collecting in November. Sorry, we have to then convert from winter or fall ops, winter ops. We're using this dump truck that now has a leaf collection box on it, no call, all has to be converted over to operations.
But say you have a maple in your yard, that those leaves don't drop until November. Get into that Thanksgiving period that they don't drop, then you're screwed.
It's
nature.
I mean, I have 3 oak trees. They just dropped. Nature holding on winter and spring. I just cut them all yesterday and I tried mulching as much as I could. So
It's like Verdant's already coming around and doing garbage. They come around, they get glass, and they come around for cardboard. If you've got bags sitting out there on the street, why not pick them up when you garbage and have a designated round when they're picking up people's yard waste?
I've seen other garbage companies do that, this whole separate yard waste truck.
Okay,
Yep.
because something like that, then you don't have to use our equipment, so that's. Yeah, you
and
know, and as a gesture of goodwill, let me know. You know, you're saving a heck of a lot of money.
And outsourcing is a possibility. It is actually within the 1995 contract that we executed with Water Disposal way back when. But they did not supply cost or provide interest in doing it. So we have to, if that was an avenue we wanted to further explore, definitely. Yeah. But knowing that there is an additional cost, okay? Again, shifting the cost that would be going towards DPW to, the outside entity.
Since we're looking at, we want our waste disposal company to be, with having to do something to be more attractive. You know, saying, hey, look, this is what we need, and, you know, passive, the aggressive, it's kind of like, that would be part of, you know, part of our decision making.
If, it might also dissuade potential vendors knowing they don't have to do a third rotation, through your community.
We do the RFP for our vision 2029. Yeah, explore that, nothing else.
How much money would that actually save? Because a
Don't know.
lot of it is labor, which is coming out of the general fund. We're just fortunate enough that we can take utility money and help the general fund pay that back. Right now, so it's actually, in a way, it's still a cost savings. Now, we're not paying, we're gonna have to say that. And we're not gonna get utility. They're gonna go up.
Correct.
You just might get other things done, but there's no true cost savings there. Utility money's not.
On the general fund. Depends on what task they are working on. Again, if they're working on farm, the utility would be
Now, two different utilities, which can increase those utility costs, because right now, like we said, these man hours are coming out of not storm.
storm or
It's very different.
Correct.
It'd be a different fund that
Or-
you're taking money out of.
Or if we're completely looking at paving, it comes out of general fund, so it's $103,000 general fund.
So, probably actually maybe cost more.
Plus, then you still have to pay to have that $103,000 deficit on the solid waste side. So yes, it's a delicate balancing act.
And the ironic part of it is, at least in my neighborhood, most of the trees that got leaves are city-owned trees.
That's what I said earlier, that's the kicker. Of course, these people with city-owned trees, and not doing anything with it, and people that don't want it, can't do that now.
A lot of trees are sitting on.
People that don't want those trees, A, because the leaves, B, because of sidewalks, and we force them to have them. They're going to plant new ones in there. Whether they like it or not.
So I got, straw poll, what I'm hearing is we keep with what we got.
I don't mind having some time reduction or starting later.
Yeah, starting later, we got rid of it. What you said, like,
How much savings would we have for labor, a couple weeks?
Cut in half.
Cut it in half, it's a $56,000 savings. But again, depending on what you're now subsidizing, that you cut the $1,000. Labor costs are now going to be absorbed by either general fund or one of the other utilities. Equipment costs is going to be general fund or utility costs. So
In other words,
it's just shuffling costs. So
You're gonna say, it would take longer for each route.
you would potentially go away from the leaf backing and go strictly bulk cleanup with the front end loader.
And that's more efficient.
That's going to be more efficient.
So if they come up the street, you know, to, you know, right after.
Yep. So,
Yeah, we should be doing, so we run the street cleaner all the time.
with leaf vacuum, they do not. Because it's basically sucking in, any type of pushing of material, you're leaving it on the pavement, going. And you need to clean up that leaf debris afterwards. Tim?
So because of time and a half, that would give them, the crew, time to go out and tar joints so that the water freeze, slow on the streets. And because they were short members, which would save a lot of money throughout the city.
Want cities to distribute the bags to the heavily carried, ask the resident, trying to sell it, save money from up through the truck, and instead of raking off the terraces.
I'll tell you already, as Mike indicated, by sticking all the leaves in the that side. So if you have the choice of breaking stuff in a sack, just break it over the terrace. I'm just gonna break it in the terrace. If I were a betting man, you're probably at 5% of our populace. So
If it's on the terrace, you said that,
it should be.
okay, then how would the front end loader get it from the terrace?
We would have to pull it out into the street using a, basically, instead of a front end loader, use something that moves on the bottom, so you have to reach over the pile.
Back to that delicate balance question, if you did cut those man hours in half, like reducing your time, how is it gonna impact?
Again, don't have those ideas all flushed out and right now. No.
Oh. Deal, how do you, is it gonna be, we can get it?
Hey, Sean.
Oh, I thought we were phoning a friend for advice.
It frees up man hours. There's other things that you guys are spending your time on. So I mean,
But again,
to your point, I mean, let's get a lot more of these things done.
So we can have flexibility, we can try and.
Nice. Well, we have to look at.
What else?
Why don't we sit down and talk
Right,
about
that's
it?
why I asked about for some of this.
I mean,
Well,
if you the man hours in half, you got that number in half. In essence, you're cutting the 103,000 in half. So, yeah, now, okay, some of that goes to stormwater, some of that goes to, sanitary, and some of that goes into general fund. So now you just took the half savings and split that 3 ways. So roughly $17,000 each pot. So that's a $17,000 hit to general fund, $17,000 hit to storm and sanitary.
That's really causing a quick increase to those.
Which could, and just, but at the same token, not expending those dollars today in. So when we come to budget time, how come we're not expending these dollars? Because, how come I haven't done a CIPROC program? Because I haven't got the manpower. So it's a lot of, we're budgeting for it, but I don't have the resource to do it.
Consideration like cost of capital, some of the equipment you showed, the smaller is following. Is that a way out that was an option? Find more equipment that will meet our needs?
We already have a piece of, right now, we use a Jeep with a snowplow on it to push leaves. This is more effective because it has broom, fingers on the bottom of it. So it actually, leaf behind it.
Spending some more, you might.
Become more efficient. Do I see us getting into garbage trucks? No. You're $250,000, $300,000 investment there. No, not feasible. Love to. Adam's words, want, not need. So, but we have equipment, our toolcat, that would be able to be fitted with a push broom, Mike's, front end loader, and small piece of equipment, again, fixed with a broom type, feature. You can also get brooms on the bottom of a bucket. It attaches to the bucket, now becomes multi-purpose. So,
Comment from the gallery.
Yes, I have a comment. So if you do it later, most people, I see, they mow their lawn and dump it. And it's supposed to be grass and not just leaves. So later, you're gonna save them the amount you collect because you're not grass.
most of the leaves that I see or the piles that I see do not contain a lot of grass. I'm not saying that everybody.
On my street. It's not that I do it, but,
yeah, we wanted to be, again, a stickler. It's not a fall yard cleanup, it's a leaf cleanup. And I know municipalities have rejected picking up leaves because it did contain sticks, branches, grass clippings, etc. So we can definitely further explore options. I mean, without knowing how we're going to do the any type of potential reduction, I can't give you exact numbers. Rest is, as Kyle said, napkin numbers, and how do we deal with it? We eliminate 2 out of the 3 leaf backs if we're going to condense. We push it to the second week of November to the first week of December. The question becomes, smooth snow. Do we miss that week by skipping the first 2 weeks or the last 2 weeks of October? Yes, we get more leaves. That pushes us that all right away. And okay, we get as many leads throughout the course of the week. And again, how do we manage expectations? Expectations is we keep status quo. So, I mean, ultimately, we make any change, we're going to get heat. Of the normal status quo.
If you make changes, you're gonna get heat. If you don't do anything, taxes are gonna go up, you're gonna get heat.
Yeah.
So just be fair to ask you to do a little more research on some scenarios, try to refine the numbers, with the equipment option, kind of times you give us some idea of savings, cost, options could be added something.
If there's interest in the council for us to explore this further,
I think that we can set, so we have some tangible options instead of some ideas here. And try to do something. Work something. Really see some costs. There is a
Well, around Cape Paul thing is an interconnected weather here.
Yeah.
You know, you start pulling. It just seems like this thing in order to help kind of break people with that. Yes, but it's also an efficient thing that we expand these budgets.
I do think there's value in touching. I think there's some value just for, city. Yeah, I mean, it looks, it should be better as a community. This last year, the season late, it looked like hell on some streets. We were late and we were up. Kind of, and they went in the sewer too. So there was some costs in there too. Some options to consider deeper, because I'd like to work on this.
I like to see the general fund, because that general fund can't absorb anything. We have constraints from the state. And we're talking about deficits, to soak up more is gonna be next to impossible.
Thank you, Director. More to come later.
Here's the reports, commission and committee. So we all got the handouts. Some need to be updated or something. Well, over that. The ones of particular importance are the ones that also the freestanding committees, personnel, finance, public works, and utilities. Also, those three first. Utilities will be the same in Darla. All three. And that, and the Darla ones to run those meetings. Just Okay. Personal. I'm just doing the three staying utilities. So personnel and finance. So it's going to be. That's okay with sharing. Yeah. Okay. Public works will be Bill, Doug, and Catherine. And Bill, if you're okay, chair. So, yeah. So those are the three standing committee members. Okay. Then advisory rec board. Now we're on to the sheet of paper. Advisory rec board. Adam himself. Adam is still on to there. He's gone now, so. Or if anyone else wants to join it. So the idea is just because Bonnie's gone doesn't mean. There's no reason why we can't. So Adam's kind of in for the report. And seems to be willing. Adam, you can. What's that? No. You want to see it in the advisory report? No, you don't want to. Anyone else interested in advisory report? I will leave. Okay. So it'll be Doug and myself. Advisory report. Board review. This is currently Bill, Doug, and myself. This one. Go over what it says on the motions are. It's to listen to appeals, anyone be interested?
It's not too bad.
No, it's, yeah, it's one meeting, it's good afternoon. Yeah. Okay, so we'll just keep those three until they're okay, I'm fine with it. Board of Appeals, Building and Zoning. Business and Industrial Development Committee. Most interested in that one. You want to get that? Okay. No one else has interest? Okay. We'll keep that the same. Commission for Equal Opportunities and Tim.
All the meetings.
Right, okay, so it's. There it has. So we do have an opening, but I'll get that if anyone is interested. Potential meeting that may or may never happen.
So if, okay,
For these other ones,
okay, I thought we were supposed to be on three, but like if I wanted to be on the school, commission, you know, say, I'm looking at taking away different positions such as like library board or.
unless someone else. I don't, we never really, okay, that's true, we never, no, there's no mandatory, you have to have. It's just whatever, only one is a three.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's the utilities, okay, public works and for something.
Oh,
Which
that's
is spread amongst.
We'll see. My bad. One of the three,
One.
yes, right.
And I don't think.
Oh. Well,
No
I like
making
it.
new committees.
What?
Yeah, just no making new committees.
Yeah.
Right now, but, some reason I thought we had to be like on three, like, employees in the library and like, I wasn't over.
Yeah, you're over.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want the commission for these and housing? Or do we just keep it? Committee on Aging, last year there was a big fight between Mark and Bill. There was one of them. Is that what you're doing? Okay. So, Mark, you okay with it?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Want to go back? Good. Okay. Yes. Let's see, if I turn to the advisory board, we have Shannon and Doug. Shannon wants to stay in?
Yes.
And I know Darrell is, interested in again. Anyone else? In the environmental advisory board? Good to go. But there's someone else that wants. Oh. So Doug is out. That is currently Shannon. Do with it, sure. Okay, so Shannon. Planning commission, Ellen Adams. I'd like to stay there, okay. I should probably say, we really don't fight, but that'll be the next thing. Yeah. Okay. Root tax. We have Mark and Bill. Mark, you good with that?
Yeah, I'll stay.
Bill, you okay with that? And then go down to Rivers Main Street, that was just Bonnie.
I would be interested.
right there. No, that's the last one, so.
Can we have two?
It says one. City manager and one council member. If we could switch it to two.
That's just how many seats there are in the Main Street Board.
So we have all the other ones, we have two.
Library.
This is Main Street.
That's what I was
Yeah,
saying.
you were just like, I'm gonna research and read your resolution. That is, so, you need your resolution to increase the number, but you certainly have the authority to increase the proposal.
Board practice, board.
Talking about Main Street.
Yeah, sure, it's Main Street.
It's not our board.
My apologies, correct, yes, my apologies, right.
Yes.
So they're their own 501c3.
Yeah, this is representation. They would have to.
Apologies, I guess my point was the end of the event, so requires the end of the
Okay.
I'd like to get back on Main Street.
Okay.
I thought not to be served.
Are you on any other boards?
Darla's been really, Darla's been so good on the issue of the design committee and artistic view. I mean, look, that's really helped the city.
Right,
I
yeah.
know we have multiple, I don't think Main Street.
We would ask Jason. Sometimes it's hard to get.
Right. I mean, if you're okay with two people from city council, or the board of veterans, is there any 13 other members?
Can I make a suggestion? I would let both of you on, also.
I do. Directors has a vacancy on.
And sports workers board?
Yes, I would be open to that.
Still got this.
Yeah, I don't know if, first of all, I don't know how accurate this is. It's full, and I don't know.
Those are appointed by the city manager. So I don't know that we even vote on that.
For Two Rivers?
Right.
So I don't think it's even ours to discuss, that's another outside organization. 501c.
I think it's just unfair because Kyle can, appoint citizens. Yeah, so my recommendation would be both, Street, and then Jason has.
I would suggest Catherine to be on, let's see. That board. That's very close. That would be harm. Join that.
It'd be nice to have somebody else.
Yeah.
Finding out what the heck's going on.
And with all due respect, it's not in our jurisdiction.
Completely.
It's not moving.
Right. Not appointed by us. Right, but it's not, it's the manager's decision though. I don't think it's our decision, is what I'm trying to say.
What was that?
I have a caution against committees getting too large and unwieldy, 13. Now 9 on Sports River, in terms of 11.
I see there's a vacancy on.
Well, if the shade's accurate, because there's people, like Eric Penningburn hasn't been on competition for.
If we have like a liaison, because really we're kind of ignorant to this group.
Further question?
Yeah, we can ask that question. I want more information.
Travel along, there's a vacancy.
Yeah, but if they, I don't want to, if there's a vacancy, I don't want to take it away.
And a lot of
I don't think
those are
it's
business owners too.
I don't think it really is. 9.
Sheet that we have from us, that's not correct.
Yeah.
What
Sorry.
the committees and-
I just updated this with the council members. Updated, fresh.
Current Sports River is 9 seats that are filled. Yes. Kurt Andrews, Cherry Barbia, Aaron from the state park, Michael Dittmer, and Ford, Nielsen, Neeson, and Lissa, that gets us to 9 this fall.
And three of those people are on the list.
And Mike is a voting member.
Like this on this.
So, to be decided on George Main Street. And, if that, I agree that, I think we should let Scorch Rivers, we should, if anything, we should get updates from the contractor. If anything.
And we put, when they have things that they're doing that are noteworthy, this is mostly. On that. They came in at the council meeting, looked at that update where we put explore to the, that we. try to keep these.
Anything else for this?
Environmental advisor?
Yes.
Instead of Doug and Shannon, is it still Doug and Shannon?
It's Shannon and. So yeah, the only one that really changes is by the report, Adam's out, Doug is in. The commission for the opportunity, that is Shannon is in. Environmental advisory board, Doug is in. Let's try to get Yes.
CBA. I'm just.
That's from. New business is approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything, any changes to that one?
I think we negotiated on this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I always like to see. It's interesting. So we can just keep it at one then, Main Street. Or should we? We'll keep it on. Okay. Seeing nothing else.
I beat you.
I'll touch this. First, Tim.
We have to go.
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed?